Are you getting tired of making the same mistakes on the pickleball court? Well, I know a lot of you are, and I know it can be very frustrating. That's why today we're going to unpack our bags, take out our paddles, and dive into some of the top mistakes that we see on the pickleball court. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced player, this video is packed with tips and strategies, so be sure to stay tuned to the end where we get into these top tips.
Welcome back to Pickleball Journey. Today we're talking about common mistakes that you can fix.
My name's Elisha.
I'm Justin.
Let's get into it.
We're getting right into the first common mistake that we often see, and that's attacking, being too aggressive when you're out of position, in the wrong position on the court. So I'm going to talk about a couple here. The first one is when we get pushed off to the side of the court, either side of the court. If we're mid-court, we're getting pushed off here and we're attacking, and what's happening is we're leaving the center of the court for our partner wide open. So the opponents can hit it right down the middle, we're leaving that gap open. Same thing on the dink, is we get pulled out too far wide when we're dinking, and we think we can speed it up, but the issue here is it has to be a perfect shot. You have to win the point. You know, you'll see people hit ATPs around the post. That's great because you're trying to win the point on that shot. But if you speed the ball up, if you try to attack and be too aggressive when you're out of position, that leaves the gap in the court for you to lose the point. So that's the first one. The second is when you're moving back and you're trying to attack as you're moving back. So whether you're at the kitchen line here or you're in the middle of the court, we're moving back and we're trying to attack, we're trying to be aggressive as we're moving back. So that, again, that can be whether you're at the kitchen line and you're backing up because you've hit a pop-up. That can be because you're at the baseline here, you're back here, and you've gotten pushed back and you're trying to really hit aggressive from back here. But think about the position where you're at. If you're moving back, this should not be an offensive time to attack. This should be a time where you're trying to get back into the point. You're being a little more defensive and you're waiting so that you can be pushing forward and attack as you're moving forward versus moving backwards.
Another common mistake is not just bad positioning of the body, but bad positioning with the ball. So a lot of times opponents, especially at players at 3-0 or 3-5, they'll get a ball below their knees, located below their knees, and they try to attack on a ball like that. Whether they're at kind of mid-court or they're at the kitchen line, they attack a ball that's really low, and they do it often. And a lot of times, if you're hitting a ball that low, you can only hit the ball up. So when you hit it up, your opponent's right there to attack back and then put you in a bad position to eventually lose the point. So make sure next time you're out there, we're looking to attack on balls that are above our waist or above the level of the net instead of balls that are lower than the level of the net. Not to say that we can't ever attack on those kinds of balls, but let's avoid that because that's generally a common mistake that gets us in trouble. This common mistake affects a lot of us, even Justin and I, is we get trapped in hitting the ball too hard in a row, multiple shots in a row, or too soft, a lot of shots in a row. So what we want to be doing is making sure that we're mixing up our shots. So specifically at the kitchen line, sometimes we get trapped into hitting too many dinks in a certain spot too often, and then all of a sudden 10 dinks in, we just missed a simple dink. Instead of maybe on that 6th dink, we hit a speed up or something, right? So make sure you don't get trapped in hitting one shot too often. We mix it up. One rule that Justin and I like to abide by is not hitting two hard shots in a row. So making sure that if we go for a certain attack and the opponents get it back, we kind of reset it, hit it soft again, and then wait for another attack to go on. It is okay, however, to hit multiple soft or drops or dinks in a row because the opponents are less likely to attack on a ball like that or have a better positioning on you on that in that point. But make sure that you're not just hitting too aggressive all the time or too light all the time or soft play all the time. Make sure you're adjusting to the opponents that you're playing at, what they like, what they dislike. If their weaknesses are they don't like dinking, then hey, dink a little bit more. If they don't like those speed ups, speed up a little bit more. So make sure that you're kind of adjusting to the style of play and that you're able to have all those tools, the aggressive part of your game and the soft part of your game, so we can mix them well.
Real quick, guys, we're real excited to be using the new Engage carbon fiber paddles.
I can already feel the grit and the power coming from this carbon fiber material.
If you do want one, 20% discount in the description below. All right, so this next common mistake is super important. We see it at the lower levels, but I see it a lot at my level. And the common mistake is really not playing enough importance on the serve and return. So this is two shots that you can go out on your own and you can really practice it, and you can get to where you're hitting it to, you know, within a few feet of a spot you want to hit to every time. So too often, really the mistake is that people walk up, you know, and they just hit that, they just get the serve in, land in the middle of the court, and sure, it works, but you're not setting yourself up for a successful point or giving yourself better odds to win the point. Now, what I want you to do is really work on hitting that serve nice and deep, a few feet of the baseline, having a target that you can hit. Because when you hit that serve deep, now what happens is you're more likely to get a return that's landing more middle of the court. You can step up, you can attack it, you've got an easier drop, you know, different scenarios where now you can set up the point for better success. So that's on the serve. On the return, now I can think of someone, a woman I play with specifically, who has a great return, and it's super effective. A lot of times people, you know, just like with the return, just like with the serve, with the return, they just get it back in. And that's a huge mistake, because if we can really work on hitting our returns within a few feet of the baseline, now what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up again for a successful point. So when you hit a deep return, now that person can't hit as good of a third shot drop. They might pop it up to your partner, he can put it away. Now they can't drive it as hard, and now you're not, you know, on defense. So again, this person I'm thinking of, she's got a great return because she's practiced it. She comes from tennis, and she's got a really good drive, but what she's doing is every single time she's getting it back deep. So I know when I play against her and I'm hitting serves, I got to hit a good serve to keep her from hitting a great return, because her return is effective. So, you know, really this is something that you can work on. Grab a partner and go out, and even if you don't have a partner, go out and just work on serve reps, getting that serve nice and deep every time.
All right, so the last common mistake that I find just talking to a lot of people, doing a lot of lessons, is we put pickleball in a box and how it should be played. So just going over a traditional point of how you should play pickleball. Just get the serve in, right? Just get the return in. Then you get that ball and you should hit a third ball drop. Then get to the kitchen line, right? All four at the kitchen line. We dink for 100 dinks or so, right? And then someone makes some mistakes, pops the ball up a little bit, and then the person attacks. We maybe get into a volley duel, and then best team wins kind of scenario. Whereas in a lot of cases, the evolution of pickleball, a lot of pros are breaking free of that, especially when you see tennis players start to enter pickleball. And so people have to start having, and what I recommend, the common mistake is everyone has a closed mind. We have to have an open mind about learning new ways to play pickleball and new ways to play opponents. So make sure that we're not just thinking the traditional way, let's just play the simple point, and if anyone doesn't play that way, oh, you stink at pickleball. More of how to counteract someone else's way of playing. So for example, if someone's driving constantly and just what we call bangers, we have to learn to be effective volleyers and exploit them, because if we don't, they're gonna dominate us when it comes to driving, because we're just gonna keep making mistakes. So make sure that if you have a key or a way to beat someone more often, and you have an asset or a strength, use that. And a lot of times, if you start winning, just keep doing that. If you lose, let's go back to changing it up, maybe trying that drop, maybe coming in, hitting a few more dinks, depending on your opponent. But don't just stick to one style of play for every single team you come against. Mix it up depending on who you're playing, and make sure that you're exploiting people's weaknesses and playing against their strengths.
Because we know everyone's playing a ton of pickleball and wearing through their shoes way too fast. If you do need shoes, be sure to check out From It. There's a 10% discount in the description.